Hi, it's me, Vicki Marie, and I'm just making this video. This is some more technical sort of information, if you like, about the Nicola Bulley case. And this again has been taken from Mickey's blog. You know, Mickey, go over there and subscribe to her. The link will be in the description. Mickey writes a blog and she looks into all the technical data of the Fitbit, etc., other things as well, as far as the Nicola Bulley case is concerned. She also wrote to the Home Office pathologist. There's a lot of information on her site that you might be interested in. If you haven't seen the videos, you know, anytime anything that I think you'll find interesting comes up, I try and highlight it in a video, because I think these things are really important to get to a wider audience. And the thing about me with the technological things is, you know, I just couldn't do that because I don't understand Fitbits and what we're going to look at today, Strava, all that. It's totally alien to me. It could be a foreign language, just as Spanish might be a foreign language to you. It's just not my thing. So it is Mickey's thing. So she's very good at this analysis. So I'm going to read out to you today her latest blog, which is from a few days ago, but I haven't had time so far to, you know, bring it to your attention. And, you know, go over to her site, subscribe. That's free. You can also buy her a coffee if you want to support her work, a one-off payment. Okay, so let's have a look at Mickey's blog. So this is all about Strava. I have no idea about Strava. You know, this is a sort of, Strava is one of those, it's an app, isn't it? Well, she does explain what it is. It's an app that's used by people for walking, running, cycling, etc., any sport. So let's have a read what she has to say, because she will tell us what it is, and I'm grateful for that, because I had absolutely no idea. I've heard of it, obviously, but I think unless you've actually used it, and unless you are a technical person, you know, as I say, it's like a foreign language to me. So she says, I went on a bit of Strava spelunking the other night. There's been some more chatter about Strava on Twitter as it relates to Nikki in recent days, and I thought I would dig into it more again. I've been a religious Strava user since 2007. Somehow, and being a competitive runner, ultra runner, I have nerded out with my fair share of Strava features, third-party apps and plugins over the years. I mean, there you go. That's foreign language there for me right off. Anyway, so then she does refresher. She says, quick refresher. It's not a refresher for me. It's completely new. Strava is an activity tracking app that's incredibly community and data-driven in nature. It's the biggest app in its category, with more than 100 million users around the world. It has a paid subscription option for those who love data mapping and saving their routes. You know, some people do love doing that. And the more competitive features they offer. So I suppose it's handy because you can see if you've improved, etc. So yeah, you know, great. So in addition to logging any manner of exercise, whether out in nature at the gym or via a streaming class service like Apple Fitness or Peloton, there are some really fun elements. Users can add and compete on segments anywhere in the world. So a segment is basically a stretch of road or trail of any length. When you walk, hike, run or ride or ski, etc. across that segment, Strava will register your time on the segment, and you can compete against others over time and become part of the leaderboard for that segment. This is important because a lot of people make their workouts public, so their segment efforts can be recorded on the public segment leaderboards. Even if your account is private, if you make the activities public at the time, for the purposes of segment performances, your best performances for these segments will still show up in the segment leaderboard, and the details of the associated workout you did covering that segment will also be public. I found that really interesting. I wonder if many people know that all their things are public, and that you can, other people can, if they know, and I wouldn't know how to track someone's movements, but other people can. So she had a look at Nikki's walks and runs. So she says Nikki's account has been made private, but she's still a paid subscriber, as indicated by the orange flag next to her name below, which is totally bizarre, as that isn't cheap. So there's not that much we can see. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but she did run and walk across some segments, and therefore her best performances for those segments are still public. I didn't glean much, and seeing these actually made me really depressed. My biggest takeaway is that from start to finish, including time in the car when she'd been inadvertently still recording on Strava, she took about 50 to 60 minutes to complete her walk. That includes starts and stops within the walks. The time she was actually moving was more like 20 to 30 minutes. Strava has a moving time and elapsed time. To differentiate between the two, in the two cases, the elapsed time was around 50 minutes and 61 minutes. Both of these are from October of 2022. So then you can see we've got her morning walk. It is quite sad looking at this. This is her morning walk. You've got the distance she did, the moving time, the pace, etc. Around St. Michael's on Wire. Yeah. Inskip, Preston Road, etc. And then, so we've got, and you can go on her site and look at these, is the best way to actually analyse them, because I don't know how to analyse them. We've got Friday, October the 7th, 2022. Tuesday, October the 18th, 2022, a morning walk. In the case of these two walks, one for her best time in a towpath segment called East, the other for the segment called West, she kept recording on Strava for part of her drive home. So I'd tack on another 5-10 minutes for the rest of the drive home. In both cases, I'd estimate she would be out of the house from about 8:30 a.m. to 9:50 or 9:55 a.m. That tracks with statements from her partner and family, and with other Strava walks that were screenshotted and shared by media and on social media at the beginning of the search for her, before her account was made private in the name of telephony. I'd guess she might take longer if she was engaging with a work call that lasted until 10, if such a thing ever happened. Then you'd get the 10:15 push at a push that her partner estimated in the Channel 5 interview. Segments on Strava are categorized by type of exercise. So there are separate segments for cyclists, walkers, runners, etc. One of Nikki's runs, her best performance on a run segment called the Defense 8, also still shows up publicly. It's from 2020, deep in pandemic land. It's very sad to see this. So the morning run, not feeling it. So she wasn't feeling like it, but she still did it, bless her. So moving time, 20 minutes, 51 seconds, distance 1.53, pace. I mean, I would hate to think people were looking at my, or could look at mine, because mine would be like, distance 1.53, moving time 63 minutes or something like that. No, I wouldn't like, I don't know. Why do people like it that people see what they're doing? I suppose if you're more competitive, then, I don't know. But it's interesting to see, and it's quite sad and poignant, isn't it? To see the way she went, and that she, it's quite sad. Anyway, it's important to note that on Strava, you cannot see the time of day these activities started or stopped. Oh, that's interesting. So there's no time on it. There are ways to see this by downloading the original files and analysing them with third-party tools. I may do this. When her account was still public, you could see the times she started her walks runs for the ones that were public, but now you can't. But we can assume these began after the school drop-off based on where she parked in all 3 cases. On Hall Lane by the school tennis club. Goodness me. It's just amazing to me that your movements can be tracked like this. That is another reason why I'm never going to get Strava or a Fitbit. My only question about this run is that I don't remember seeing it when I first looked at her account in February when it was still public. I swore I went back to 2020 when I first looked, but in any case. Yeah, I'm thinking I know it can come in handy, like if you went missing, of course it does come in handy to maybe trace where somebody's gone, etc. But I don't know. I suppose at the end of the day, your phone tracks where you go anyway. So it's just quite strange, this to me. It's also important to note, that's obviously the generation I come from. It's also important to note that the spike where it appears she goes into a pond lake at Roanwater is not accurate. The spike where it appears she goes into the pond lake at Roanwater is not accurate. It probably comes from her pausing and restarting her run and the GPS glitching when she did this. It happens all the time, especially when you pause and restart runs, walks, bike rides, and especially when you're near water. If you want to see a summary of all her walks that were public before the account was hidden, here's a TikTok that covers a lot of them. Right, well, I'm not going to go into that because I just want to do a short video. My purpose of doing the videos about Mickey's content is to raise more awareness and to drive you to go to Mickey's site and to look at it, to subscribe. And then on her site, you can go in and look at this TikTok that covers a lot of her walks that were public before the account was hidden, etc. And moving on, since this is all we've got for her account, but I am wondering why she's still a subscriber, because it costs £8.99 a month, £8.99 a month, which is quite a lot, isn't it? Which probably Paul hasn't even realised, or I don't know, he may not have. Who knows? Who knows why? I don't know about you, but you end up with all these little things that come up on you. I've just had a blitz on my bank account, cancelling everything, because things come up when you're not expecting them. You forget that you've subscribed to something that costs money, or you've taken a month's trial on something, and then suddenly, boom, it's like, you're like, oh God, where's all my money gone? Because you were going to pay something else, and then suddenly, sometimes I've sat here and my phone's just gone ping, 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 and about 10 things have come up that they've taken out, all small amounts, but add up in, all themselves adding up to a big amount. So yeah, sometimes you forget. So maybe Paul just, I don't know, because then it must be coming out of her bank, or we don't know. I don't know what happens to all the bank accounts, etc. So yeah, maybe he just hasn't realised. Maybe we'll change that. Maybe he's given it to one of the girls or whatever. Maybe he's not even got it back yet. Who knows? So other walks during the time Nikki was missing. Well, I say got it back. What is it actually registered on your Fitbit? I presume. It's got to be registered on a device, so it's either on your Fitbit or your phone. Yeah. Anyway, other walks during the time Nikki was missing. So looking at these same segments and other walk and run segments in the area, a lot showed up for the late January to mid-February time period. There was a 5-hour walk that a friend of Nikki's did looking for her. That's sweet. In which it's clear that they basically did a grid search covering the riverside. Sorry, just have a little coffee. The upper and lower fields, the fields on the other side of Garstang Road, Blackpool Lane, and the Hughes area that Penny walked the morning of the 27th. So kudos to them. I'm not going to be linking to that one. While I love you all, I worry that some people might use the amount of publicity available info on Strava in nefarious ways. But it was very early on in the search, and here is a screenshot. So yeah, that's interesting. So whoever this friend was did definitely have a good search around. I suppose any of you that are into Strava, you'd be able to find it anyway. And there are walks from members of the public, quite a few of them. Here's just one from February the 5th. This person walked the length of the river, almost as far as the location where Nikki was eventually found. Her eventual location marked by the purple circle. So yeah, look, somebody walked all this way looking, but didn't see Nikki. My biggest takeaway after the Strava deep dive is simply a reminder to myself and everyone else. Volunteers spent a long time looking for Nikki along the river in adjacent areas and didn't find her. This is everyone's contention. This is what I've been saying. Did Nikki only float at night? She floated all that distance from where supposedly she fell in accidentally. But nobody ever saw her, even though there's a lot, for 23 days. So she must have been, just only floated at night when there's nobody around. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So that's in addition to police sniffer dogs, expert volunteer search and rescue teams and their dogs, folding and team, helicopters, divers, pole camera operators, the fire brigade, the Coast Guard. So based on the extremely low river levels, the tidal activity, or the lack of tidal activity, the lack of heavy rain or flooding, and simply the number of eyes on that river from January the 27th to February the 19th. I mean, I agree with Mickey. I just don't believe it's possible she was in the river for the majority of that time. Or if she was, she must have been tangled right down in weeds. I don't know. So with that, I'll leave you with, well, I don't really like mentioning other channels, but Irish Eye's excellent video. Now, if you push on that link, you can go into Irish Eye's video as well. I haven't watched it, but I have got respect for Irish Eye, so I'm sure it's very good. From a few weeks ago, also below, but has to be watched on YouTube apparently. I only recently watched it and was impressed on how she analysed the police divers' video evidence, folding statements, and much more, to conclude the same thing as me and so many of us. That's right, and me too. Nikki just wasn't in there, probably not until February the 15th or thereabouts, in my opinion. And then she just says, side note, I talked with my mother about this case for the first time yesterday, and after hearing everything, she said she was probably moved around the time of the Channel 5 interview. Make of that what you will. My mother's comments are for entertainment purposes only. Yes, well, unfortunately, now, looking at that, so this a 5-hour walk that a friend of Nikki's did looking for. I wonder who that friend was. I wonder, does Paul have Strava? Because, my question as well is, how much searching did Paul do for her? I just couldn't have rested if that was my partner. And honestly, I know he had the kids, but he had people to look after the kids. They've got grandparents. There's a sister that can help out. You didn't have to be with the children 24 hours. There's Emma that could help. There's so many people that could help. You wouldn't have been able to drag me away from that riverside for those 23 days. That's where, even after Peter Falding said she's definitely not in the river, then I would have been searching all these other bits. I just could not have rested. I just don't. I just don't get it. So I wonder if he's got a Strava. Anyway. So apart from feeling, I wonder if any of you have got Strava, realise that you can be tracked like this if somebody knows enough about what they're doing. Yeah. Gosh, it won't be long before they'll just be putting a chip on us as soon as we're born, and so that they can always find us like a dog or something, which, not. It's like everything in life, isn't it? it's good, you know. If your child disappeared, you'd be glad if they had one of those chips that you could find out exactly where they were. But then, it says video unavailable. What video? Anyway, so yeah, so there's sometimes like, you know, that you would be glad if you had a chip in, or if your child had a chip, where we could always know where they were, etc. You know, no, it's not only like there's things like Snapchat. That could, you know, I know of murders that have been solved by Snapchat because it's people have been tracking. You know, there's this thing you can do on Snapchat where you can tell where people are, etc. So you've always got to be aware of all that if you don't want people to know where you are. So if you're doing things that you don't really know, I mean, I was thinking about it. It was when I was in Manchester. My niece and her partner, they've got iPhones or whatever, because she's got that Track My iPhone app, and quite often, you know, sometimes they'd be looking at, oh, let's see where such and such is. And then you'd hear, oh, I wonder what they're doing there. And they've been there a long time. And, you know, so it's a little bit, but because I did think, what if you were trying to keep a surprise from someone? You know, like if it was their birthday and you were organising a birthday party, or you had family coming over, like as a secret for their birthday or something like that, and you were trying to hide it from them, and they're looking at it and thinking, well, why are they at the airport? What are you doing at the airport? You know, it can cause a lot of problems, can't it? Like, why were you at the airport? And then you don't want to give away the surprise, so you've been making up all sorts, and then you'd probably end up in a massive row because they think you're up to something, or, you know, what were you doing at their house? What, you know, you can just imagine it, can't you? That'd be me. I know, I'd be like, because as much as I try to stay off it and not think about, I just, you know, it's all right when you're working and you're doing stuff and you're not thinking about, but any sort of, you know, like when you get that minute where you go on Twitter or you go on YouTube or whatever and just see what's going on, I'd be on the app. Oh, let's see what's he doing there? You know, I can just imagine it. I know I would, because I'm nosy. So I don't know if these things are good things, but anyway, so there you go. That's Mickey's latest blog. It's all about Strava. It's interesting, isn't it? You know, as she says, I don't know if it sort of leads us anywhere, or, you know, I don't know what it contributes, but it's interesting and it's quite poignant to see, you know, Nikki's routine, and to think in those days that she was alive and well and doing her walks and doing her runs. Yeah, and of course we can't see the relevant, the Strava information we'd really like to see, of course, is the one that's been sort of blocked, like after she disappeared, etc. Okay, so as always, thank you for watching. I want to say thank you to all my subscribers, everyone who's bought me a coffee or sent me a super chat, a super thanks, a super sticker, or joined as a member, because my membership is really growing now, and that's brilliant. And we're going to be doing these members only lives on a Tuesday, where we can do tarot cards or just anything we want to do, really, because we're doing it. We're going to chat like no one's watching, because the only people that will be watching are members. What's the other thing? Yes. Oh, and people have PayPal'd me, and then just liking the video, watching the video, subscribing to my channel, which is free. So same with Mickey's blog. Subscribing to her blog is completely free. And, you know, giving a thumbs up on my video. I thank you so much for all the support I've had. I hope you're enjoying the content. I try and vary it. It's not all about Nicola Bulley. If today is a Friday, it's the 11th of August as I'm making this video. So tonight there will be a Friday live, and I haven't actually decided what I'm going to cover in it, but I'm going to think about that now. So thanks again. Go over, give Mickey a subscribe, and always remember to live and love very carefully. And remember, if you do have a Strava, you can be tracked. So just keep that in mind, because not everybody realizes perhaps that they can, some of the things that they do can be looked at by other people if they've got enough tech savvy to do it. And I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until I see you again, may your God always go with you. Thank you.